Hello out there and welcome to English Teacher Plays. This is a video I've been wanting to do for a long time. The footage you are watching here is from The Crew, a racing game published by Ubisoft and developed by Ivory Tower and Ubisoft Reflections. Ivory Tower was founded by developers who worked on Need for Speed, among other things, while Ubisoft Reflections is responsible for one of my favorite racing games ever, Driver San Francisco. So what makes The Crew worth a full review? Hours and hours of my time and this video. Despite being a couple of years old now, I really enjoyed this game. There are a lot of reasons why I didn't just stop playing this like a lot of other racing games. In The Crew, you play our bog-standard, grizzled white protagonist, Alex Taylor. He is heir to the throne of the 510 Motor Club, which was founded by his older brother, Dayton. Surprise! His older brother is murdered and he is framed for the crime. Whoa! Really breaking the mold here, guys. Seriously compelling stuff. Here's the thing, though. The story does not have to be compelling as long as the gameplay is solid. I didn't come to a racing game looking for tears. I came looking for racing. So the plot in the game is one which anyone familiar with this type of story will have seen before. In fact, if you have played other racing games or hell, even seen Fast and the Furious, you will have seen things like this before. You are released from jail after serving 5 years of your sentence for murdering your own brother in order to help take down the 510s, who have become a massive criminal syndicate in your brother's absence. To do this, you have to win races. That's it. You win races. There isn't an on-foot component, like you might have in GTA, or a body-switching component like they had in Driver San Francisco. All of the gameplay is in your car. This sounds like a bad thing, but I really appreciated that the game focused on driving instead of trying to shoehorn in extra modes. So let's talk about gameplay specifics, handling, car choices, customization, time between races, etc. The cars in the game fall broadly into 6 categories of specs. Stock, which is a type of car that you buy off the line. Street, which has been tuned a bit. Perf, which is the highest rated street car. Raid, which is for off-road, Dirt, which is for off-road as well, and Circuit, which is for racing around circuits. Each style of car has specific terrain it is best on, and woe unto you if you try to use the wrong car in the wrong setting. The game is generally pretty good about making sure you use the correct car for storyline missions, but getting between missions and doing the challenges that are littered throughout the game involve carefully choosing which car is most appropriate. Luckily, the game makes it very easy to change between specs using fairly friendly user interface. If there is one thing about Ubisoft games that I do like, is that they tend to have very slick interfaces. Now, there are definitely times when I wished I was in a differently spec'd vehicle, but the game encourages you to drive all the various types of vehicle in order to upgrade them by completing challenges, because the storyline missions require you to drive all 6 different types of vehicle. I probably spent most of my time in the perf spec vehicle as it was the fastest on roads, and you get it reasonably early. As you can see in the video though, it is terrible off-road. For off-road, you need to switch to raid spec or dirt spec. Why are there 2? Because dirt is for dirt roads and some off-road, where raid is much slower than other cars on roads, but can basically run over anything. I had a lot of fun going mountain climbing in my raid spec car. Probably the most fun I had in the game was going off-road between missions, but also kind of the least fun as it can get stuck on trees and things when trying to go fully across country, which is annoying. Circuit is the last car you gain access to and is probably the most boring, as it is for circuit racing, driving, turning left. You do get a couple of races in it towards the end that are on the street, but I couldn't help feeling like my perf spec car would have been better suited. Customization is present. You can change the colors, decals, style of the car, and you can purchase different cars from various shops around the country. Of course, there are microtransactions, of course. So some of the cars can be bought with in-game currency, and some must be bought with premium currency. That being said, I beat the entire main storyline without ever paying to have anything done to my vehicle at all. Every upgrade I needed came from completing challenges along the way. I assume there's some really exciting endgame content but I'm notorious for quitting games after the narrative is finished. I have several max Star Wars The Old Republic characters that have never been on a raid because that is intensely boring to me. I like the stories. So when Alex Taylor inevitably takes over the leadership of the 510s via racing, spoiler alert, I was done. So I never actually spent any in-game currency or premium currency for that matter because it wasn't necessary. I just took my purple Ford Mustang through the whole game. What I am saying is that the customization is present, but not required or necessary. So let's talk about the driving. Now, this is where I think the designers from Driver San Francisco really came into their own. The driving feels good. It feels fast, and you feel like you are in control, even, when you're going 200 miles an hour. And when you crash, you are punished for it, but not so severely as games like Burnout or Need for Speed. In a lot of racing games, if you're going at speed, which you almost always will be doing, and you clip something small, your car does a bunch of spectacular flips and you see a bunch of damage in a cutscene, which you can sometimes skip, but often not while your opponents soar past you. It's annoying. In the Crew, when you hit something, if it is not head-on and center, you don't crash. You lose some speed and are shunted off to the side. It keeps the race flowing and stops those rage-inducing incidents so prevalent in other games. Now, a lot of people out there are going to say, get good, when I complain about things like crashing when you hit something. But seriously, there's nothing fun about watching a cutscene of your failure over and over. Some people like bashing their head into a wall to get good enough to 5-star every race in Burnout. I do not. I appreciate the game giving me the benefit of the doubt and letting me keep racing, letting the character's natural ability to race, which is touted throughout the game, override the fact that I just sort of barely clipped a car. Now, this isn't to say that you can just beat the game without driving well, because that is definitely not the case. The advantage that you get by not crashing whenever you randomly hit something is the same advantage that every car in the game gets. All of the NPC cars that you will race against also have the same advantage. So you have to drive well and use the terrain, shortcuts, and your quick reflexes to win each of the different types of modes in the game. What it removes is being first all the way to the end of the race, barely clipping the rear end of a car in front of you, and losing because of it, wasting 10 minutes or more of your life as you restart the race from the start. Now, the game takes place all over the continental United States, and you have to discover new areas by driving to them. In a lot of games, this would be arduous and annoying, but the way the challenges are placed along the roads makes getting from one story mission to another quite entertaining. As you are driving along, you will come to a blue gate that you drive through to start the challenge. The challenge could be a slalom, a chase, a racing line, a scramble, or a precision challenge. All of the challenges have their benefits, and winning them upgrades the spec of the car you complete them in. They're completely optional, and you can just ignore them if they're too hard, as there are tons of challenges spread out across the map. This means that, unlike Burnout Paradise, you don't have to stop at a light and do a burnout to start a race. You just drive through the gate and things happen. It's all very natural, and you find yourself completing challenges as a side effect of traveling to new story missions. There is a multiplayer element. The Crew is not just the game's name. It also encourages you to invite other players to join your crew to help with missions and races. But I never did it. I don't feel like I'm missing out. I'm sure that the multiplayer is fun and rewarding for people that enjoy multiplayer, but I often find co-op multiplayer with strangers to be insanely frustrating and annoying. Nothing is worse than watching a bunch of other players running around on the ground or just, zipping past really important story parts of a mission because they've already played it before. So there's a lot going on in the Crew, and what they've done with the single-player campaign is reasonably impressive. Like I said, I really enjoy my time with it. There are also a lot of extensions and extras that can be had for extra money. But in my opinion, I felt like these detracted from the game rather than enhanced it. Instead of feeling like I beat the game, I felt like I beat one part of the game, the main storyline. And that there's, a seedy guy in an Ubisoft shirt standing behind a desk asking for money for the rest. And now I know that the rest of the stuff isn't going to be main campaign stuff. It's just going to be, time trials and beating people online and stuff, and it's just not worth it for me. But the main campaign is solid. And while I said at the start of this whole review that the story was not breaking any molds, it is told, and it's there, and it strings all of the missions together to really let you enjoy the racing and, make each race kind of meaningful. So, if you're into racing games, it is definitely well worth your time. The rest of the DLC and extra things are basically for the truly Ubisoft at heart. So, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, make sure you leave a comment below. Let me know if you want to see me do more reviews in this vein, and I'll see what I can do. So thanks for watching, and class dismissed.